Where's du har, min friend, and welcome to another video in which I will once again be focusing on the Amazon's The Lord of the Rings TV show, which is going to be released, I think, next year or around that time. Now, I've already made several videos upon that matter in which I talk about the fact that I do not think that the TV show will be a success, in that they will not respect the original material enough, and there is a lot of evidence for this. Now, I'm not going to go into depth as far as this goes. I'm going to provide links in the description down below so you can check the videos for yourself, and also some links over here. Maybe you can click them and see or listen for yourself. Now, today I want to talk about the setting of the TV show, which is now official. It has been made official, and I'm going to talk about the time setting of the Lord of the Rings by Amazon, not the places necessarily. Now, if we look at the history of Tolkien's world, or Arda as it is called in English, is described mainly in the Silmarillion and then, of course, in the Lord of the Rings. We could, and I will try to make everything as simple as possible. I will talk simplistically so that everybody, even those who haven't read Tolkien's books, can understand it. So we could divide the history of Tolkien's Arda, or Tolkien's world, very simply into ages, into 4 ages, each and every of these ages being mostly divided by a defeat of a Dark Lord. Now, the first age of Arda, or Tolkien's world, begins with the awakening of the children of Ilúvatar, who was basically the god of Arda, of, well, Tolkien's world, and he was the one who created the world. And he created also the Valar, which were these, well, more or less angelic characters who then, with the help or through music, helped Eru, or Ilúvatar, create the world and Middle Earth, of course, which is the part of Tolkien's world that is most well known by general audience, thanks to the films as well. And then the first age ends with the defeat of the first Dark Lord, Morgoth, or Melkor, as he was known at the beginning. So if we look at that and think about it into depth for a little bit, from a certain point of view, we could see in it Tolkien's inspiration in Christian mythology. He was a devout Catholic, and among other mythologies, such as pagan myths and legends from the ancient Europe, he was very much influenced by Christianity. And there, the one God creating the earth, creating the Valar, angelic characters, or demigods, or well, not demigods, but really lesser gods, and one of them falling from the grace and becoming the Dark Lord, Melkor, or later being called by the elves Morgoth, we could really consider him, a sort of allegory to Lucifer, to the devil, and the first age of Middle Earth, as described in the Silmarillion and other material posthumously published after the death of John Ronald Reuel Tolkien was published by his son. All the books that were published posthumously were also edited by the son, Christopher Tolkien. The first age deals with the huge war with Morgoth and the alliance of the ancient elves and the ancient men, the first people, the first humans, against the forces of Morgoth. And it also very much deals with the war for the jewels. Tolkien had really he was very much interested in jewels, let's say, and he saw some sort of power in jewels in general, because everybody knows that the Lord of the Rings is about a war for the ring, but the Silmarillion is about the war for the so-called Silmarils, which were jewels. in which the light of the ancient trees was captured. Now, I'm not going to go into depth. Let's just say that it is a very tragic story, very sad story about the destruction of two miraculous trees that provided light for the Valinor, the ancient realm of the Valar, of the gods. And there are many stories set in the first age of Arda that, if done properly, they would look glorious on screen. Now, of course, once again, it is impossible to do these days. Firstly, you can't really do a proper representation of the creation, which was even before the first age. And given the fact that it's 2021, we couldn't really do a lot of things that, because people are nowadays, obviously, they require focusing on inclusion, representation, diversity, and various agendas in films and books, rather than on the actual quality of the final product. This being said, even if they were able to look away from diversity, inclusion, representation, making the elves African American, their choice of setting the story in the second age, which was the defeat, or after the defeat of the first Dark Lord, is understandable for one simple reason. The general audience, the normies, the normal folk, the normal people who have not read the Silmarillion or any other books by Tolkien, will be it'll be more understandable for them. It'll be closer to them thanks to the films, because Sauron, the Dark Lord from the Lord of the Rings, was originally only a servant of Morgoth, and he only became the second Dark Lord in the second age of Arda, after the first Dark Lord, Morgoth, was defeated. So already there, we've got characters that are closer to more people. And even though in the first age, we've got one of my own personal favorite stories, such as the story of Beren and Luthien, which I do consider to be the most beautiful love story of all time. Really, Romeo and Juliet, my ass. No. The tragedy of Beren and Luthien. It was even mentioned in the films, but people wouldn't really be able to very much connect the two. Or the story of the children of Húrin and the tragedy of Turin Turambar. The creation or the building of Gondolin. Oh, Jesus Christ, there are so many awesome stories that could be told, if done properly. But very few of these stories would ring a bell in the heads and the minds of the general audience, as I said, of the, well, I don't want to say non-educated people, but well, let's say just very simplistic, the people who haven't read the books, right? Who haven't read the old stories from the olden times. Whereas in the second age of Middle-earth, that already deals with the first war against Sauron and the rise of Númenor, which is, the realm of the people who are the forefathers of Aragorn, Elendil, and the Isildur, and all the people that were mentioned in the book, in Peter Jackson's trilogy. And even though in the first age we've got once again such beautiful stories as the story of Erendil, which was mentioned in the film, once again in the second age, there is a character who plays quite a huge part, and that's Elrond, the son of Elendil. And once again, everybody knows Elrond because he was in The Lord of the Rings, he was in The Hobbit, not only in the books, but in all the films. People know him. I was there 3,000 years ago, and he was indeed. So, and also, because there will be Númenor, and there will be the various regions of men, people, humans, in the TV show, they will, and they have indeed taken advantage of it, and they are trying as much as possible to find many excuses to include characters that wouldn't look the way they look in the book, if you know what I mean. The characters in the Silmarillion, and indeed in the Lord of the Rings, were based on people living in ancient Europe before 900 AD, in Western and Northern Europe. And they were also based on characters from Norse mythology and from Celtic mythology and from basically from all the ancient European mythologies. It's very much Western and Northern European based world. This means that at the time there were not people living in Europe or in Middle-earth looking like a lot of the cast that was cast in the show. Once again, for more detail, check out my previous videos. But because it's more diverse, the Second Age, as far as the origins of the different characters, the creators now have excuses to include those actors in the film or in the TV show. And thus, they will be able to tick all the boxes that are necessary to be ticked in films and books and comics and TV shows in 2021. You need to have people of color, you need to have women, you need to have lesbians, you need to have this or that. You just basically need everybody and everything. And putting aside the fact that I've read and heard that it's pretty much confirmed that the show is going to include nude scenes, sexual scenes, which is really not, I don't consider it an appropriate material for something created by Tolkien, but well, whatever. Putting that aside and taking all that I've said into consideration, it is only understandable that they have decided to set the story in the Second Age. And that means that they have done some research, or there are actually some people who understand Tolkien's world, and that makes me even sadder. That is even more sad. Because you've got people who clearly do understand Tolkien. You've got people who clearly have deep knowledge of the books and of Tolkien's lore. But still, they are forced by the modern world to bow to the gods of inclusion and representation and diversity and feminist agendas, which, of course, only means that the show is not going to be what it could be. It's not going to reach its full potential, and it is most certainly not going to pay a proper respect and homage to the original material. But the gist of the video is to explain why the story is set in the Second Age rather than in the First Age or the Third Age, which was after the defeat of Sauron for the first time, which actually is the prologue to The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring film. You can actually see the end of the Second Age in the film when Sauron is defeated by Isildur. So they could maybe somehow connect those two, right? And that also once again proves my point. More people will be, oh right, this happened in the film. It's the character who killed Sauron. La la la. It didn't really kill, but you know. So yeah, that's why. It will be. It gives the creators more possibilities for reaching wider audience. Simple as that. So, what do you think, my friends? Do you share my opinions, or does your opinion differ in any way? Let me know in the comments down below. If you've read all the expanded material posthumously published by Tolkien's son Christopher, if you enjoy it, if you are looking forward to the show, or if you share my opinion and you are not really looking for the show or forward to the show, if you're going to watch it or not. Yeah, I am very much interested in all your comments. I respond to all comments because I am just pretty much excited to engage in an intelligent and educated discussion. And please, because YouTube is not very fond of free speech oriented YouTubers such as I am, do not forget to like this video if you liked it, or dislike this video if you didn't like it, and subscribe to this unimportant channel of an unimportant geek talking about unimportant things. If you haven't done so already, there are many more videos to come, entertaining and educating videos, and hit that notification bell so you can get more notifications for interesting videos and things like that. La-di-da-di-da-di-da. Will be all from me. See you soon, and Namaria.